Some Other Woman is directed by Joel David Moore and stars Ashley Greene, Amanda Crew, and Draco Malfoy. And it's more or less a bigger budgeted Lifetime movie that tries to be a Finchian psychological thriller. Now, full disclosure, I had no clue that this movie even existed. It was not on my radar for 2024, and that is until my wife actually pointed it out to me not that long ago by sending me a trailer, and she suggested, maybe you should watch this and maybe review it for your channel. So I watched the trailer, found it kind of obvious and predictable where the story was gonna go, but I decided to check it out anyway. But going into this thing completely blind, more or less, and not having any sort of preconceived expectations on what this movie would be, I actually thought it was pretty good. Not great and not bad, but decently good. Probably a little bit above Night Swim. Now, what the basic gist of this movie is that Eve is living in this tropical paradise with her husband Draco Malfoy when this other woman shows up and seemingly is like forcing her out in like a cuckoo bird kind of fashion, to where this other woman has seemingly taken over the life that Eve is living. However, it does feel like the same movie you've kind of seen 100 times over, because the twist and the reveal of the twist was fairly obvious and easy to figure out. The performances were all fairly decent to okay. Nothing really memorable or anything that stands out. I think Felton was probably the best part, if I'm totally honest. Now, I really liked the range he displayed in this movie, because there's a lot of scenes where he is a very much adoring and loving husband and he's very likable. And then there's other scenes where he kind of snaps a little bit and really becomes a dick and an asshole. I mean, he just can't shake that Draco Malfoy history, it seems like. And the direction for the most part is okay. It feels very workmanlike, which is why I made the comment about it being kind of like a bigger budgeted Lifetime movie. However, this movie does take a little bit to get going. At about the halfway mark, when I'm sitting there in a theater watching this, I was wondering to myself, what the hell am I watching? What is going on? But from that point forward, probably about the middle of the movie on, it does kind of pick up. The pace sort of becomes a little more brisk. And I feel like the second half definitely finishes stronger than what the first half sets up. So it kind of helps elevate the movie in a way. But I am going to get into spoiler talk now. So if you don't want to be spoiled for this movie, if you have any interest in seeing it, jump to this time code right here, and you'll jump right to my recommendation in the end of the video. But the meat and potatoes of the plot of this movie really does rely on the twist and the reveal of that twist, which, like I said, if you had seen the trailer, you could kind of easily put two and two together and figure out what the twist is. And the twist is that this whole female that is stalking the main character, it's all in her head. So what this movie essentially is just a split personality movie. You have this main character who is going through a lot of emotional instability in her life, and this other id, or this other personality, starts coming to the surface and overshadows and overtakes her before she eventually snaps out of it and returns to her normal self. Except this cycle kind of seems to be repeating itself over and over again. But like I said, that twist was so obvious and so easily telegraphed from the very beginning that I was really looking for the swerve to happen. Like, I was waiting for maybe it was her husband that's been drugging her this entire time, or there was some sort of curse or some sort of other external force that was really making this girl kind of lose her mind. But there wasn't. They more or less played it straight, and I'm kind of glad they did that, because I felt like if they had taken the other route and did the whole, husband drugging her, or some kind of, force, or, curse, island curse, I think it would have cheapened it. Now, like I said, what is causing this sort of flip-flopping between personalities is the stress that this woman is under in her life. She is trying to live her life by her husband's standards and, her friend's standards, and she's not living the life that she wants. So all that sort of stress and emotional weight has kind of collapsed her psyche into creating this other persona that from time to time just takes her over, until we get to the end where we see her kind of snap out of it and break that cycle. And that's where the other id kind of it starts attacking her violently and physically in real life. And that's where I've seen a lot of people get confused about this movie online, where I think they're taking what is on screen at face value and not looking at the sort of metaphorical meaning behind all of it. It's all sort of symbolic and symbolism of a woman that is just kind of struggling with her own emotional stability. And they're not looking at it from the perspective of all this was a manifestation of being emotionally and psychologically overwhelmed and trapped. But I also can't blame people either, because this movie is not perfectly executed, and the way it's shot and the way the subject matter is handled, it doesn't really make things clear. And, you know, the subtlety can be appreciated to a degree. I kind of like movies that let you draw your own conclusions, but I think there needed to be a little bit more finer craftsmanship here to really drive the point home of what was going on. Anyways, my recommendation for this will be, it is worth going to check out. Now, you probably don't want to waste a lot of money going to see this on a weekend unless you want to make it a date night with you and your significant other. Maybe wait for a deal day. But I do think it is worth checking out in theaters and giving this movie a little bit of attention. But yeah, that's all I got to say about Some Other Woman. You know, it was a movie that was not on my radar at all. Like I said, it came as a suggestion from my wife, and it turned out to be fairly decent. I was kind of pleasantly surprised. It wasn't anything great. It wasn't anything bad. For January, it was pretty good. But anyways, if you were one of the ones that have seen this movie, what are your thoughts on it? Please post your comments below. As always, like, comment, and subscribe. Adios. Now, GTFO!